Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby in studio. Here it is, Rita Cosby, also with Judge Richard Weinberg, Ed Cox, Governor Patterson, and also joining us from the beautiful free state of Florida is John Katz. And joining us now here is Larry Kudlow, of course, the number one show on Saturdays on 77 WABC, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And, of course, on Fox Business, the top show there, hitting it out of the stratosphere, as John and I always talk about. Larry, first of all, we are very jealous. John is in the beautiful state of Florida. He's joining us by phone there. And the sun is shining, it looks like, by the way, Larry, on the Trump economy. I was just seeing the CPI numbers. Great numbers came out in the last 24 hours. Talk about it.
You know, the whole week, look, jobs were way up in the Wednesday jobs report. Wages were way up in that same jobs report, and inflation is down. All right, that's a tremendous combination. If you're worried about affordability, well, Trumponomics is working. It's working very well. In fact, you have some fun. Wages and hours worked up 5.6% for the last 3 months. Inflation only 2.4%. So you have an affordability surplus of 3 percentage points. It's really quite remarkable. So everyone should stop belly aching. And listen, the Dow is still close to 50,000. The S&P is still close to 7,000. Stock markets are very strong. The bond yield is down almost back to 4%. I think the Federal Reserve should be cutting its interest rate at their March meeting. Most of Wall Street is afraid to talk about that, but they really should cut. And we'll see what happens. But, I mean, the point is, in terms of the midterm elections, Trumponomics is working. Now, I interviewed him on Monday. We played it on Tuesday on Fox Business. And he said, we'll do whatever it takes. We will work harder to get the word out. But I think as the word gets out and people see their wallets and pocketbooks are bulging and people are working. I mean, it's a fabulous story. Everyone loves to badmouth it. Go ahead, let them. They're wrong. They're completely wrong.
Larry, by the way, you had a great interview with President Trump. You just brought up some of the highlights. Tell us about some of the other big things, because it was really great to see you guys talking in that great forum. And I thought you got to a lot of topics with him.
Well, he offered me a job again.
I don't blame him. And I hope, by the way, for WABC's sake, you didn't say yes, did you?
No, I did not. Actually, I should have said, because John's listening, I have two great jobs, okay?
Wait, let me bring in John. John, did you hear that?
Yes, I heard it, and I love Larry, and we love having dinner all the time in New York, and I hate to lose him to Washington. But if the country needs him, he has to do what he has to do.
Well, anyway, I'm very busy as it is. But we did talk about a bunch of things. I mean, one thing that's, out and about here is this whole business of, number one, ending sanctuary cities. Okay. Lindsey Graham and Senator Eric Schmidt and President Trump want to defund and put an end to sanctuary cities because they are the reason for the difficulties that ICE is having in these shootings and so forth, which we all regret. But sanctuary cities mean the cops don't hand over the criminals inside the prison. And so they let them out, and then ICE has to have a sweep, and that's where you get into trouble. So that's one thing we talked about at some length. The other thing we talked about voter ID and photo ID and citizenship. In fact, Trump just posted a tweet about 20 minutes ago that he claims we're going to have voter ID and citizenship in the midterm elections, and he's going to reveal how very soon. So voter ID is another issue. And the last issue, not the last, but another one we talked about was the whole issue of regime change in Iran. I asked him about it. I told him that I myself was skeptical of anything they ever say the mullahs and so forth. And he agreed, but he wants to negotiate. And he said that forcefully, okay? So you must take him at his word. However, he also said late this afternoon that regime change may be the only solution to Iran. So he may be changing his language somewhat. So we better keep an eye on that. You never know what can happen over the weekends. He's in love with Kevin Warsh, his Fed nominee.
Yeah,
and I know Warsh is a very close personal friend.
Yeah, and Larry, walk us through that, too, the process about Warsh, too. Like, where does that stand? Everyone's wondering, sort of, obviously he nominated, but can you walk us through the timetable on that? Yeah,
I think it's going to be the Senate hearings, the banking committee hearings will be sooner rather than later. Scott Bessent, he told CNBC this morning that they want to get Kevin up there. I saw Kevin last night at a dinner in New York here. They want to get him up there. And I think the markets want to hear what Kevin Warsh has to say about, monetary policy and interest rate policy and so forth. So we talked about that. I asked him, by the way, I said, when did you really make up your mind about Kevin Warsh? And his response was basically, let me see, this is 26. It was basically 9 years ago. He said because he interviewed Warsh. Warsh was the runner-up in the interviews in 2017, and he listened to his Treasury Secretary, which is my friend Steve Mnuchin, but he and Trump don't talk. But Mnuchin recommended Jay Powell, and President Trump said he went with that advice and wished he hadn't. It was the worst decision he ever made, and he should have gone with Kevin Warsh in the first place. So the answer was, when did you know you wanted Kevin Warsh? 7 years ago.
Larry, that's a great answer.
I thought that was kind of interesting too, and I told Kevin Warsh about the whole byplay. And look, Trump, he backed up his policies, and he talked about the stock market, and he talked about jobs, and he talked about wages. And I have to tell you, you hear all this gloom and doom out there. You see polls that show people are not happy. I don't care what anyone says. You look at these numbers; they are coming in as a boom. There's a Trump boom going on. And so I'll go back to what I said. This week alone, okay, the jobs numbers were twice what Wall Street thought. Wages are rising and inflation is falling. I mean, that is one heck of a good combination for the midterms, but also for the American people. And this is an economy that can grow 5, 6, 7%. He said the economy should grow at 15%. And I said, well, that's a big number, sir. And he said, well, Larry, I'm telling you, there's no reason why I can't grow at 15%. So then a bunch of lefties attacked both of us. But my feeling is he didn't say 15% over what time period.
Sounded like a lawyer, Larry.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer.
Well, that's why I'm good at what I do, Ed. You gotta make the best of it.
Well, Larry, we love you. And your interview was blockbuster. I love all the answers. And obviously the economy is really roaring. And thank you for the update. And everybody, make sure you tune in to Larry every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here on 77 WABC. Number one show on Saturdays. He's hitting it out of the stratosphere, Milky Way. And Larry, we love you. Have a great, great Valentine's Day weekend too, my friend.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.